Let's work smarter, not harder. You can see here what we have is a table, and we have 4 equations. We need to be able to identify which of these equations match up with this table. Now, the nice thing about this table of values is we actually have some pretty basic numbers for our input variables, 0 and 1, 2, and 3. So when I say let's work smarter, not harder, when I'm going to be able to do my math, I want to be able to choose numbers that are going to be easy to be able to insert to be able to find the y-intercept as well as the slope. Because remember, when we have an equation of a line here in this form, y equals mx plus b. What we're looking to obtain is from this table of information, what is going to be our slope and what is going to be our y-intercept. Now, one thing that kind of sticks out to me whenever I'm doing multiple choice problems, I always like to look at the answers first. Just kind of get a glance, kind of see, make sure that whatever I'm approaching or what I'm going to be doing is going to be the right thing, which again, we can see, yes, I need to identify the slope and the y-intercept. But one thing also sticks out to me, that these two answers, B and D, have the same slope. So what that tells me is if I can find the slope of my equation given this table, I can either find the answer or eliminate these other two solutions if it's not going to be 7. So how do we go ahead and find the slope of an equation? So general slope formula, basically it's just saying the change in y over the change in x. What is the y2, y1, x2, x1? It doesn't really matter, guys. You're going to choose 2 x values, 2 y values. The main important thing that I want you to be able to understand, though, is make sure that you are always going in the same direction. So if I'm going to say this is x2 and this is x1, right? Because again, I want to work smarter, not harder. I don't want to do 3 and 1 or even 2 and 0. I want to choose the smallest 2 numbers that are easy to work with. So I'm going to do the change in x values is going to be 1, 0. That means the change in the y values is going to be 19, 2. So don't go like 1, 0 and then do 12 minus 19. No, you got to go in the same direction. 1 minus 0, 19 minus 12. You could go in the other direction. Technically, you could go 0 minus 1, 12 minus 19. Just be consistent. So you're going to change in y over the change of x, right? Slope, rise over the run. So change in the y, which is the rise, over the change in the run. And again, the reason why I like that too is like, I already know I can do this in my head, right? 1 minus 0 is going to be 1. 19 minus 12 is going to be 7. 7 over 1 is just going to be equal to a 7. So that kind of makes it rather simple and easy for me to be able to compute. Whereas, I don't know, if I was doing 3 and 1, I might have to just think a little bit harder as far as 13 minus 19, make sure that I'm getting it correctly, whatever else. But anyways, I noticed my slope is going to be 7. So therefore, this is not the correct answer, and that is not the correct answer. So how do I find the y-intercept? How do I identify if my y-intercept is going to be a 5 or a 12? Well, there's a couple different ways we can do this, but the best way that I like to do it is to be able to use the point slope formula. Now, there's a couple different ways we can use the point slope formula, but when you're trying to identify with an equation, we only want to be able to use one point. We don't need to be able to have the 2 subscripts for both the x's and both of the y's. We just need to be able to pick a point. Now again, work smarter, not harder. What would be the best point for me to be able to plug into? Anytime you have the opportunity to be able to choose a 0 for your x or a 1 for the x, choose one of those. Now I'm going to choose the when x is equal to 0 because my y value is smaller than if I were to choose 1. However, if I only had 1 available, I would have chosen that one. And even if you're like, you don't really care, choosing 1 and 19 is really not that much different. I would avoid though the 2 and the 3. You're just getting into larger numbers and it's easier to make some mistakes. So the x1, y1 represents a coordinate point. So we're going to say that x1, y1 will be 0 and 12. One thing I forgot to mention, remember, we now know what the slope is, right? M represents 7, so I can plug in a 7 in for my M. And now from this case, I just need to be able to simplify and go ahead and solve. And hopefully you recognize already ahead, we can see that our, oops, not that one. We know that one's it. That one's not it. We know that our answer is going to be a 12.